In these groups that we have, in these meetings that we have, you seem to go into another aspect of sinking in that isn't always talked about. And so I really appreciate that because it's a constant reminder. It's like, again, it's a reminder, oh, I could really relax even more. Mm-hmm. Not trying to, but just allowing that to happen. Yep. So I'm wondering if there was a time for you when you, was there like a turning point or something when that theme of how much more can relaxation take place came through?
Yes. And when I first got into meditation, which was TM, the thing that really turned me on to TM was Maharishi's statement that meditation should be absolutely effortless.
Should be what?
Effortless. Absolutely effortless. And up until that time, the little dabbling I'd done in meditation was all about focus, concentration. It's a long journey, you've got to try hard. And here he was saying something completely different. And lights just went off in me. It's just like, oh, of course, it just made so much sense. And that just stuck with me. So it was always there in the background. It's always been a part of my own practice is catching effort, not putting any effort in, that sort of thing. Then the bit you're talking about was about 12, 13 years ago. I was influenced for a while quite strongly by A Course in Miracles, as people know. The bit that really caught my attention there was this thing that basically, if you're upset, it's probably not because of the situation, but it's the way you're seeing it. I mean, and many teachers have said the same thing, but it's the way you're seeing it that's causing the upset, not the situation. And it was saying just to ask the question, is there another way of seeing things? And not to look for the answer, but to knowing that the ego mind has got caught up on a certain way of seeing, and it's usually got fixated on that, and that's where you're stuck. And so just asking the question without trying to find the answer, but posing the question to allow your inner being to show you. And I've been playing with that for a number of years and just noticing how when I did that, almost always a completely different, much easier, more loving way of seeing things just appeared. And so it was a practice I was really fascinated by and getting a lot out of. And then I was on a retreat at Spirit Rock. I call that my laboratory. That's where I go to really do the research. And I started thinking, what is the equivalent of this in meditation? Because if I'm caught in meditation, it didn't seem to me it was a question of how I was seeing things. That didn't seem the right question. And so I sort of asked, what would be the equivalent question to asking meditation? Because I could see that it's easy to get caught up on what I would call a plateau in meditation. And it sort of, you get quieter and quieter, and it's like, and you're in a very nice, quiet state, and it's very comfortable, very enjoyable, and you're content with it, and you think, oh, this is fine, not realizing that there's even more letting go is possible. So I realized the basic question, or the way the question came to me at that time was, is more letting go possible? That was how the question materialized in my mind. And what was fascinating was just a little later, I was sitting in a very nice samadhi type experience. Everything seemed very still and quiet. And then just this little nudge came, asked that question. And I did. Is more letting go possible? And immediately it's like the bottom dropped out. It's like my body just went shoo. And I realized I was quiet in my mind, but there was still a holding going on in my body. And when I asked that question, everything just dropped down to deeper level of stillness and quietness. And so then I started playing around with questions in that area, like is more relaxation possible? The one I really like is there an easier way of being with this experience, whatever the experience? And that's one that you can take out into daily life with you. Not to try to answer the question yourself, mentally, with the intellect or the ego. These questions are just seeds to drop in and see what your inner knowing comes up with. And it won't come up with if it comes up with an answer that's verbal, that's an idea, you just know that's not your inner knowing, it's just an ego. What usually happens is it shows you, and usually there is just a relaxation happens. So that's sort of the core question of, is there an easier way of being? Which, almost in any situation of the day, you can just pause and ask that.